Welcome to the Breadwinners. We're back for season 5 and taking your questions about work, life, and everything in between. I'm Jennifer Owens. I served as editorial director of Working Mother Media and founded the Working Mother Research Institute.
And I'm Rachael Ellison. I'm an executive coach and management consultant who works with companies big and small to design workplace policies that work for all employees. There's nothing we like more than talking about work-life strategies, but we know that in the real world, such questions can be very personal and a little prickly. In this season of The Breadwinners, we tackle them all.
Raquel.
Yes. Hello.
How you doing today?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Are you ready to, tackle some tricky questions or two or 46?
Sure. Yeah.
Hey, shall we just, I'll just pepper you. Could we do a lightning round?
Yeah. Okay. Let's do it. That's fun.
Oh my God, that'd be so great. And just like really thoughtful, tough questions. And you get, 2-word answers. That's it. So anywho, I'm being silly. Okay. I have a letter for you. Put on your thinking caps. And here we go. Dear Breadwinners, I'm working too much. I can't remember when it even started. I put in some time on a Sunday night to clear the decks to start the week clean, but that approach seemingly has taken over most of my Sunday. And now I'm often working after the kids are in bed too. I'm not sure what to do. The work needs to get done somehow, right? I'm feeling overwhelmed, and honestly, I have no idea how to stop. There's always more work to be done. What should I do? Yeah.
Great question. I mean, I think one place to start is logging what you're doing in after hours, right? Is doing a map of what types of work are you doing at what times of day? Are you constantly trying to respond to something that's due the next day? Is this kind of the busy work that ends up getting
pushed to the end?
Yeah, slotted in at like the 10 o'clock, post kids bedtime slot. What is it that you're doing and when does it show up? I think that I see a lot of reasons why people become, adopt workaholic practices, let's say. And I think some of them are focused on the need for validation from external colleagues. So, wanting reassurance that the way that they're doing it is the right way. And another reason, which is sort of linked, is this idea of really struggling with boundaries with people. So I think really doing a deep dive into, first of all, what excites you the most about this job? Where are you finding the flow? Where is your energy going? How do you identify with this purpose? And then map out what you're doing with your day on a time log. I think if you Google, there are some worksheets where it just has like every 15 minutes.
Laura Vanderkam and her time tracking, right?
Yeah, that is true. I was just thinking about her book
she's talking about it as a proactive thing of like, how do you want to spend your time? But I think you got to learn how you are spending your time before you can think about your hope for time spent.
Right. So in short, think about your values and purpose. What excites you about the job? Where do you find flow? So like the big picture kind of macro questions, then do a time log to see where your time is going, and then do an analysis, like look for patterns. Maybe while you're doing your time log, you could kind of next to it write, and I forget how Laura did this in her book, but what are you feeling? What's your sort of general mood in that particular moment? Are you
that's another thought, right?
Are you frustrated? Are you stressed? Because it's good to remember what you did with that slot of time, but it's also helpful to be able to sort out where you're finding the most rewarding.
Who's leeching off your time too? Because, there's always someone who's like sucking up it's a finite resource, our time,
Yeah.
It's a currency and someone's spending it. Are you spending it the way you'd want to spend it?
Right.
That's one thought. Because I think I never thought of time that way when I was younger, but I do now. I really
Yeah.
do now. And I resent when something takes my time that I don't want to give it. But I haven't found an answer for not doing it. But I get resentful of time sucks that don't seem valuable.
Yeah. Yeah.
But usually I'm in it, before it actually, it's already happened. I'm too deep in it. And then I'm resentful that I let myself slide into it. It's like, how did 2 hours disappear on some useless thing that I'm working on?
Right. Yeah.
Well, the idea of workaholism, I mean, I've certainly been there. You're the boss sometimes, or I don't, you don't even have to be the boss, but I always feel like when I have teams looking up to me, like I never want to be the person that's slowing them down.
Right.
So I will be the person who works on a Sunday night to make sure that they have what they need. And I don't know if it's a good thing or if it's just a martyr complex.
Yeah, I think that becomes the default. It certainly has for me at different points in my career. And
Right?
then you kind of lose sight of what is most important for you in this particular moment.
Mm-hmm.
And to borrow from like 12-step language, like think about what's keeping your side of the street clean. Like forget about what everybody else needs and wants. Like, do you feel good about what you've done?
Right. Because there's also a sense of, and this I completely cop to having this, is a sense of perfectionism. I do subscribe to inbox zero. And how I do that is I will like commit at the end of the day to try to deal with stuff. But I do a lot of the things where I will snooze an email for 2 days forward. It doesn't need to sit in my inbox now. If I know I'm going to deal with it on Thursday, I'll snooze it for Thursday. This is probably TMI, but that's what I do. I also delay send because if I do decide to work on something in the evening, I am wholeheartedly, that is on my time, not on your time. So I will have it send the next morning. I just need to know it's out of my box.
Right.
But there is a sense of perfectionism. And I think it's a false sense of like, I mean, just because the box is empty doesn't mean you were perfect in the first place, but it does give me a sense of accomplishment if I can do it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, is that the best way to spend your time? And to your original point, am I doing the right thing? But it really is addictive to work too much. I don't know if it is for everyone, but for certain of us, it sucks. It's insidious. It like sucks, gets into your bones. And then this is what you do. I have to do this. This must be done.
Well, right. I mean, if you are working too much, it's a great way to put boundaries up. Even if you're not adhering to boundaries in your work life, it actually makes it easier for you to say, I'm sorry, I'm working. Right? Like it does.
Right. Yeah.
Needs from you, you're working. So yeah, I think it can be helpful. It can serve a purpose for folks.
Well, and definitely, work is like water. It will find a way to fill. It will spread everywhere. It will take what you give it. And so, how will your office ever know or your work ever know that you need help if you're always getting it all done?
Right.
You know, I think it seems like, if you're going to work 60 hours instead of 40, then we never know we needed someone for 20 hours to help get this project done or whatever it is. Though it is painful to you kind of have to fail a little bit, or in the not literature, like the language of it, you have to say, well, this is going to be late because, I can get that done, but that means this will be delayed. You have to start enunciating those guardrails,
Right. True.
which, because it's not easy. I think we should acknowledge that it's not easy when you're a person standing up to a system, whatever is going on in your office,
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, at some point, I guess you have to have a conversation with somebody, your manager, your something, to say, listen, no more. You raise up the sign that says union and stand on top of the tables. Is that what our next step is? You go from not working on Sunday nights to holding up the union sign. Is that how it goes?
I think it's that. I think, again, it is really about starting with yourself and figuring out what are your habits contributing to, and then thinking about setting the boundaries. I mean, yes, you can set the boundaries around communication, but really thinking about where you're starting from.
Yeah.
What your expectations are for yourself, so that you're not going in sort of expecting that this conversation with your boss, whatever it is going to somehow
magically
change the dynamic. So
yeah, because your awesome suggestion would help to identify, well, the time suck work, the work that is maybe not the most valuable for you, because when you think about, say they're paying you, whatever, an hour. If you think that this admin work that is not the highest level work is costing them the same as the high level think time or strategy work or big project management work that you're doing, it's a cost benefit.
Right.
But how would you know, like, hey, it turns out that like 40% of my day is dealing with useless stuff, and not useless, but stuff that, you could be getting for far cheaper, which would free me up to do more and uncover more work, more good work or revenue or whatever it is that your job would show.
True.
Well, what I wanted to ask you though is, we say the word workaholic, and it's like, is there a sign that, is there some way to define that? Or is there a general sense like that you've slid into something like that? Like, are there warning signs, I guess?
I think it's a question of when you feel you have agency and control to stop yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because if you feel kind of powerless, I guess, again.
Yeah. I feel this feeling. There are times I feel this feeling, and I literally feel like there's a small child in my soul crying, of saying, I'm like, oh, that's when I know I'm way overwhelmed. Like I'm veering on burnout at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I think we get to that point where, where it breaks and we know it's too much. But I have seen people practicing, the people who I've seen who have the best boundaries, like over the course of my life. My first boss, Richard Manson, who is no relation to Charles and is a lovely person.
Was that an option?
Well, that's his first thing that Richard says when
hilarious.
It was his era. It kind of made sense. But he was so structured about his routine, and he was overseeing 9 different offices and taking calls all the time around this very complex work that he was leading. And he was able to come in at 9 and leave at 5 every time. And everyone else, all of his peers, all of the vice presidents that he was working with were always working after hours. I was his assistant program officer, and I was working after hours outside his office, and he was like, I'm going. Like, he just,
yeah.
But he was with that company for, decades, like many decades. I don't know, 4 decades. So, he did well. I think it is about building the right habits, about taking the right attitude towards your work, and recognizing that, does it need to get to the little kid inside you crying? Like, what are, when there's a part of you that is working and starts to feel like, hey, it's 8:30. Should I stop now?
Right.
I think I personally in the past have had the tendency to be like, yes, but I have to keep going and I have to finish all of the things. And you are trying to give yourself some clues between the time where you could set a very clear 5 o'clock boundary and 9:30, 10 at night. somewhere in there, something in you is asking or thinking, I'm hungry. Maybe I should take a break.
Yeah.
Something, right? I mean, maybe, if you're really well trained to pull very late nights, you're set up for it. I mean, my brother's in a field where like working till 2, 3 a.m. is
it's the
kind of
norm.
built in to the expectations that he has in his job, or it was when he started. But at some point, I think
I was never more efficient. You're making me think of when baby number 1 was little and in daycare. I was never so efficient as when I had to get to daycare pickup. Because, they started charging exorbitant rates like the first minute you were late. Yeah. So I came in, I was there to do my work. And then I was very motivated to not work once I got my baby girl. Because, I didn't get to see her all day. And so I wanted things done and I wanted to leave it there. And so I was in, semi-friendly, as you can maybe tell, bit of a chit chatter. Did not chit chat for like the first 2 years. Just come and do my work and then go so that I could get home to my baby girl. And I don't know if I want to live my life like that every day, but there is certain wasted hours of whatever. But that said, some of that stuff is super important because that's the only way you find out what's really going on.
Yeah.
You need to do a little chit chat. I'm not anti chit chat.
True. I mean, I think when I remember talking to Manoush Zamarodi when I did my Reworking Parents podcast back in the day. Yes. And I remember her saying that when she had her first, she had been a reporter. Was it BBC? I don't remember offhand, but she'd been a reporter and she would jump on every extra assignment and go, and kind of be there for anything anyone needed and go over and above so she could stand out. And then she said that after her son was born, she just flipped and it was, okay, here's a straight dope. I remember her saying it like that.
Yeah.
Here's a straight dope. I can do this in this amount of time. And that's what I got. And hope you like it. And goodbye. Yeah. And it obviously has served her well in her career, but it required some tough choices. Not everybody was on board with that.
Right. Because you always end up being the singular, if you're blessed to have a manager and or a team that supports that, A+, often you're the only person saying, these are my guardrails and, go beyond them at your peril. But, the advice I always think of the awesome Lucy Knight, who I worked with at Working Mother, and her thing was you have to teach them to go on the paper. She was full of awesome quips like that. And her point was, if you say you're leaving at 5, you leave at 5. That's you're being consistent. And if you're not working after 7, you're not working after 7. Take that with a grain of salt because we all have real life to deal with. But that was her point. And I think it's come into stark relief through the pandemic and a majority of people working from home and kind of dealing with the no barrier between work and home, that how those hours, and there were no guardrails for a while. And in some places that has stayed, your day never ends kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we have to, but when I have managed teams, I have always felt you support others in that and they will support you. And this is what makes the world go round, is like enabling people to not be working around the clock, because work will always be there. That's the sad thing. We'll never be done.
Very true. Very true.
All right. So what are we offering up? What we are talking, we're also suggesting check out Laura Vandekamp for time management tips. I mean, that is her.
Yeah.
That is her bag. And she is full of good and great and wonderful techniques. So that's our first tip. But the upshot is, if you don't have time to read her book, is to track yourself, right?
Yeah, to track yourself, to be thinking kind of big picture about what are you looking to achieve in that job, right?
Right.
But it's funny, we can post a picture of this, but I went to a Thursday night event at a museum recently. And by event, I mean it was free Thursdays. So yeah.
You're so fancy.
I'm so fancy. And I went to the gift shop and I wasn't going to buy anything. But then I saw this sign, which I keep next to my desk, which has been so helpful to me. And it says in huge letters, nope. And I think that we all need some kind of reminder in front of us that you can draw lines.
Yes.
Where you want to, where you need to. So any kind of visual reminder that you need to, at the very least be mindful. You don't have to necessarily say no, but we often jump into a reactive mode and just do.
Yeah. And have to take it all up. Yeah. All right. I love it. And here's the rub. It's no one's going to do it for you except you. You have to build your own guardrails. That's
Exactly.
no one's going to come to you and say, "Oh, I see." Maybe some benevolent manager is going to say, "I see you're working a lot." Chances are that's not going to happen. So you need to look out for yourself on this. And we can't have a burnt out breadwinner. We need you to take care of yourself so that you can take care of others, including your work, but including your family, including yourself. So
True.
All right.
True. Take care of you.
Thank you so much for joining us on The Breadwinners. Do you have a sticky work-life question for us? Send it our way at thebreadwinnerspod@gmail.com. We're here to help.
And please take a moment to rate and review our show. It really helps. And of course, join us on Facebook or Instagram at The Breadwinners Podcast. And until next time, keep hustling.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.